What's going on, guys? It's Cliffy here. Today we are playing in a do-or-die game. Game 5 of a 5-match one-day series against Sri Lanka, currently drawn at 2-2. So things are, quite important. Obviously, a series is on the line in this game here. New Zealand, we've got off to probably the best possible start after winning the toss, electing to bowl first. 3 for 60 of 12.2 overs. So, the run rate's pretty good for Sri Lanka. It still is up around 5, but we have gone and taken those 3 crucial wickets. And if Sri Lanka go anything like what they have in recent times, I think once we get through this top order and middle order, they are just going to absolutely crumble because they haven't been great. I think they've finished their tour of England, possibly. They may be going back to play one days there. They are playing at the moment against, I think they're playing the Irish in a 3-match one-day series, and I think Game 2 was actually like Saturday night, Sunday morning, which the Sri Lankans did win quite comfortably. Scored nearly 400 runs, got nearly 400 runs on the board, and the Irish could only manage, I think it was about 250 in reply. So still a pretty good effort from them, coming up against, obviously, a test match, a test-playing nation, against an associate nation. It is still a fairly good effort, and that was largely due to I believe, is it Mendes or Pereira? I'm not sure. One of the openers, one of the Sri Lankan openers, hit about 120 odd. And then there was a bowler, I think it was Prasanna, who's playing in, he's been around a wee while now. I think he's in about his 25th one-day match. Absolutely smashed it with a bat. He is a bowler. He came in at, I'm not sure why he came in at number 3, to be perfectly honest, but came in at number 3 as a little bit of a pinch hitter. And I think he hit about 95 or 46, so just absolutely smashed it. And when you are going to score such a big total as they did do, it does really help to go and, I guess, have that opener who bats through a long period of time, scores 100 plus runs, and then someone coming in, in the middle order or even in the lower order that goes and just smashes it over a strike rate of 200. It is always going to go and help you set that big total, which is what they went and did. So as I said, I believe that is a 3-match one-day series. I think I know Sri Lanka are up 2-0, so the series pretty much is done and dusted. I'm not sure after this if they are heading back to play England in any one-dayers. I'm not sure if that segment of the tour has been. I haven't really been following it too much. I have been more keeping up, with the football side of things at the moment. Obviously, the Euros and the Copa America that is going on at the moment. But I did manage to see that. I did also manage to see, we talked about this, I think it was in last week's episode possibly, about the Zimbabwe-India series, which recently, the one-day section of that had finished with India winning 3-0. It was a little bit of a shock when it came to the T20s. Zimbabwe actually won that one. They got up there, I think, by 2 runs in the end. So very, very close game, only winning, I believe it was by 2 runs. I think 170 played 168 to the Indians. MS Dhoni, I think, had a chance to finish the game and couldn't quite finish it off. So, there will be those critics out there that were saying, Dhoni shouldn't be in the side. He's not the finisher that he once used to be. And I probably would agree with them that he isn't the finisher that he did used to be. But obviously his captaining ability is still top class. And I think, I don't want to say that he could be in the side as a specialist captain because I don't think anyone can go and do that, especially in international cricket. Heading down, playing more socially and stuff like that. We always used to joke to one of the guys that was in our side. He was primarily a batsman but didn't seem to score too many runs, and we just said, mate, you're in the team as a specialist captain. That doesn't happen at international cricket. But, I think Dhoni is obviously still in there. His wicket-keeping skills, are still second to none. You can't really put that past him. We've seen that in the IPL. He had an incredible IPL, I believe, behind the stumps. His team didn't really back him up, I guess, and they did miss the playoffs. I think it's the first time that MS Dhoni has missed the playoffs in a long time. But his keeping was definitely up to scratch. As I said, it was just the players really that were around him that didn't deliver the goods when required. So definitely not on the side of a specialist captain. No such thing as a specialist captain, especially in international cricket. Maybe more in social cricket, Saturday club cricket. You could have a guy who's a specialist captain, the team organiser, or something like that. But, a very good win. I must say, a very good win for Zimbabwe. And if they are going to continue, I think, to take strides, forward to getting back to where they used to be. Obviously, Zimbabwe has never been a top tier nation, but they have caused a few upsets, and, you go back maybe 10, 15 years, and they were a side that, were going to be competitive. And I think, that's what cricket needs. I think with Bangladesh, it's a very fine example. You go back 10 years, Bangladesh was still a good side, but probably not as competitive as they are today. I mean, they knocked England out of the World Cup last year. I think they made the Asia Cup final. I think that's the second Asia Cup final in a row they have gone and made. So they are definitely going and taking leaps and strides in international cricket, which is good to see. It's good for the game. Afghanistan is another fine example of that. They have been impressive, I guess since their international debut, probably 18 months ago, on the big stage. They've gone, really won a lot of fans and a lot of plaudits, I guess you would say as well. So, and that is what the game needs that to grow. It needs these countries that I guess you would associate as associate nations or minnow nations to go and really play against, the big guys more often. And I think that's where, especially teams, I think this would be a really good idea for teams that are going and touring England, especially if they are on a longer tour like Sri Lanka have been. It would be nice if they went and played, possibly played the test matches against obviously the English side and maybe played some one-day internationals, and then possibly what they could do is look at inviting, maybe Ireland and maybe Scotland to play in like a quad T20 series or something similar to that, or a quad one-day series, because that means that obviously Ireland and Scotland are going to play each other, which is good because they're playing against someone, that is at, I get, their associate level, but it also means that they're going to get a chance to play against the bigger guys. And one thing I've learned from playing sport over the years, and I have played sport for a very long time, I think it's coming up, close to probably 18 years now I have been playing sport. And one of the things that I guess a coach said to me, and this is something that has really stuck over the years, is that you will never get better unless you're playing against teams that are better than you. Obviously, if you go out and you win all the time, you are going to be a good side, you're going to be a good player, you're going to be a good athlete kind of thing. But if you want to improve yourself and progress in your sport, I believe you have to play, against the best and play against those teams or those opponents that are better than you to go and improve your game. And I think, Irish cricket and Afghanistani cricket is a great, in cricketing terms, it's a great example of this. I mean, one of the sides that have gone, these sides have really gone and really progressed. Afghanistan over the last 18 months, but I'd say Ireland, over the past 4 or 5 years have really started to go and develop themselves. And there is a lot of talk going around, and I've completely gone off on a different tangent in this episode so far. But obviously a lot of talk with the World Cup being condensed down. Jesus, I didn't know what that noise was. That honestly scared the crap out of me. You would have seen it in the web. I was like, holy crap, what was that? At first I thought it was someone knocking on my door, but I believe it was something falling down the steps. But that was heart and mouth moment. I'm like, my heart is beating at the moment, real. Whew, that was a bit of a scary moment. I honestly thought I was, you guys would have thought I was playing Outlast or something, or some kind of scary game, but that's alright. It is done and dusted. But yeah, there was a lot of talk, obviously, about the World Cup being condensed and going down to, less teams. And the Irish did kick up a bit of a stink about this. And a lot of the Irish players, I believe, I'm not 100% sure if this is correct, but I think I remember reading somewhere that a lot of the Irish players did say that, if we can't play in World Cups and if we can't play in World T20s, what is the point in us playing international cricket? We'll just retire from international cricket. Which, would be a real shame because they are one of the sides that I think, a lot of people do enjoy watching, and a lot of neutrals enjoy watching them because, they're a little bit, I guess, of a fairy tale story that, when they play against the big guys, they do, make a very good effort of it. And I think that's quite, it is quite true. And, we go back 12 months to the World Cup last year, and, this is an Irish side that almost made the quarterfinals. This is in a group that I believe, I'm trying to think who was in the group, but, this is in a group where the Irish side almost made the quarterfinals. I think, West Indies and Pakistan didn't have a very good tournament whatsoever, and I think one of those teams was due to miss out, but I think just the way things worked out, Ireland finished 5th from memory. I think they beat Zimbabwe. I think they are a better side than Zimbabwe, and, Bangladesh obviously making it in the other group, so, that was a real step in the right direction, I believe, for, associate crickets and associate nations. And I think, they need to keep playing those big games because there are a lot of players that will go and, if they have a chance to go and change allegiance, they will. And I think the Irish and the English is a very good example of this because, Boyd Rankin, who he has been playing. I know for a fact that he has been playing in that one-day series against Sri Lanka for Ireland. Started off playing for Ireland, and then wanted to go and achieve the dream of playing Test cricket, which at the moment for Ireland can't happen because they aren't a Test playing nation. So I think he did his time away from the Irish national team, played county cricket, which obviously allowed him to be in consideration. I wouldn't say selected, but in consideration for the English national team, which he did get selected. I think he played some T20s. He may have played, I'm not even sure if he played a test. He may have played one test, but he didn't play many. And then we have gone and seen him switch back since to the Irish team because he wasn't really getting a run in the English team. And, you know, this is a fine example. I think there is... I think Ed Joyce is the same. Like, Ed Joyce started off his career playing for Ireland, went to England, played some test matches, or possibly played some one-dayers, and then has since shifted back to Ireland. And Ewan Morgan is another example. Obviously played for Ireland, is now quite set up. He is the limited overs captain for the English national team. So, you know, it is very hard for him to go and obviously go back now because he has achieved so much. He hasn't really nailed down that test slot, but, you know, to be the captain of the English one-day side and the T20 side, you know, you can't really ask for too much more than that. So that's just my thoughts, you know, on the issue. And I think that's where, you know, you really do want teams, you know, you really want the ICC, you really want them to go and be pumping, you know, if they have any spare money, pumping it into these associate teams to go and make them stronger, because it is going to make cricket, you know, a better sport and a more global sport all around. And I think that's what you want. Like, different sports around the world, and it is very easy to see this, and I'm going to say a few examples. Obviously, cricket, when it comes to cricket, we know when it comes to World Cup time, you know, it's basically going to be the Australians, the South Africans if they don't choke, the Indians, and, you know, possibly New Zealand now that they've gone and lost the final. So, you know, it's only going to be a handful of teams. Whereas, you know, you go to the Football World Cup, and there are so many teams, like there's so many teams, not just in the top 10, but, you know, even in the top 20 that can go and possibly have a chance of winning that World Cup. So there is a lot of teams. There's a lot more teams that do have a chance, and that's why it does make it a lot more entertaining when it does come to World Cup time because, you know, you're not really certain on who's going to go and win and who's going to make it into the final. Rugby's kind of in a little bit of the similar situation to cricket, I guess you would say. When it comes to World Cup time, you know it's going to be the All Blacks, you know, the Australians, the English, or the South Africans pretty much. You know, the French may get a little sniff in there and a couple of other Northern Hemisphere teams, but apart from that, you know, it is going to be one of those four big nations. So, and I think, you know, rugby has kind of taken a little bit of a page out of these ideas that I have spoken about lately, and they have gone and pumped, you know, a little bit of money into these other, I guess, you know, not so big teams. And a prime example of that is Argentina. Like Argentina, if you go back, let's just say, you know, 10 years, they would never be a team that you would imagine that would go and be playing, you know, they made the semi-finals last year. You know, so you would never think in your wildest dreams that Argentina would make the semi-finals and possibly even make the finals of Rugby World Cup. You know, looking back 10 years ago, you would say, you're absolutely dreaming, there is no way that can happen. Japan's another story. Japan, you know, you go back 10, 15 years, they're a team that are just getting smacked, you know, they're getting smashed, they're getting spanked by everyone. You know, they've come around last time around, they beat, I was going to say Scotland, but I think they did beat Scotland, actually, but beat South Africa, obviously a huge, huge scalp to go and pick that up, and now they are hosting the next World Cup in 3 years' time, so, you know, you can't really ask for too much more than to go and do that, and I think it really does pay off when, you know, the board, you know, the rugby board or the cricket board, go and they invest this money into these associate sides, or not these top-tier sides, and they bring you back these results, they bring you back these performances. You can't really argue with that, you know, as a association or as a fan group. I mean, you know, you head back to the World Cup and you see Japan beating South Africa, and I'm not sure if it's just because it's South Africa and not many people in New Zealand like them when it comes to rugby because we are such fierce competitors. But, you know, everyone in New Zealand was happy that Japan had gone and won that. And I think there would have been a lot of neutrals that would have been going on. Again, it's a little bit of a fairy tale story. It's a little bit of an underdog story. But you just can't complain with that. Like, it is just, when the underdog wins, it just makes the experience a whole lot more enjoyable. It just makes it has that feel-good factor. I guess is what we're looking for, the world we're looking for. And at the moment, so this game is pretty even at the moment. We do need 96 runs off the last, I'm trying to think, the last 12 and a bit overs. That one there is not perfectly timed. We are going to come back for a cheeky 2 if we do manage to go and get there. So, yeah, we still need 96 of the last 13 overs. So I'm not sure what that is when it comes to RPO. I'm just trying to work it out quickly in my head as Dilshan's coming into bowl. But hopefully we can go. Hopefully they move that man because he's going to continue to bowl it out there, Dilshan. We are just going to go and run him away. But with myself and McCullum in, anything can happen. We have seen that before. You know, McCullum can go berserk. I think he's had a pretty good tournament so far when it's come to the. We're just playing over in England. You know, I think he's playing for Middlesex from memory. He has had some pretty good scores all around, and that there's not going to help us. A Yorker. Low full toss, whatever you want to call it, mistimed, straight to that man at mid-on. We're gone for 19 off 9, can't manage to go and clamp it home. And you'd have to say, with that wicket, Sri Lanka do look like they're in prime position to go and pick up this series victory, which I think they've gone and done. They've won it 3-2, and yes, there it is confirmed. Not sure why there is the shield, because we should be playing for a trophy, because it is a one-day trophy that we are playing for, but that's alright, that doesn't matter. We are done and dusted. Matthews, man of the match, 119 off 134 and 4 for 52. You can't ask for too much more of an all-round performance than that there, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to stand up for the Sri Lankan national side and really help them along. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please remember to leave a like. If you are new, please do subscribe. Make sure you check out my Facebook and Twitter links that can be found down below in the description. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. I've got more Rugby Challenge 3 Crusaders Career Mode coming your guys' way. Make sure you do not miss that.